Namaste, everyone. From Houston, Texas, welcome to Stellar Parenting. I'm your host, Brandi Khan. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I also hold a master's degree in psychology with an emphasis in child and adolescent development. And I'm so passionate about helping parents, helping teachers, caretakers, and guardians combine the magic of the stars with the art of consciously raising children. If you'd like to work with me, please visit my website at brandycon.com. So, for today's show, we will be going through the transits that we have for this week. We've got some big things in store that I can't wait to tell you about. And towards the end of the show, there will be time for a caller. So, if you're someone who wants a tarot spread, wanting to know what the month of August will hold for you, please call into the show. I would love to hear from you. So, for our transits for this week, let's jump right in. We're right here at the end of the month of July, and Wednesday, tomorrow, July 30th, we will have the planet Venus move into the sign of Cancer. So, Venus is the planet of love, beauty, money, and values. And she will slip into the nurturing and emotional waters of the sign of Cancer. So, this shift, this change in signs is going to bring a tender, heart centered energy that really will make us want to focus more at home with our family on emotional connection and comfort. So we've been through the last few weeks, Venus in the sign of Gemini. And Venus in Gemini really was a playful energy, very curious, with a love to communicate. All right. But Venus in Cancer is going to be different. Venus in Cancer will invite us to really soften and to feel more deeply and to prioritize our emotional safety in our relationships. So during this transit, we will really be equipped to express love through care, through protection, through acts of emotional presence. And we might crave deeper intimacy during this time or the familiar comfort of home cooked meals or time spent with our loved ones. So, the themes that I want you to embrace over the next few weeks are deepening emotional bonds with your family or close friends. And also, another one, decorating or beautifying your home, changing something in your home, making it more aesthetically pleasing. You will also be expressing love through nurturing, through empathy, and emotional support. And it's a great time to reflect on what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel valued in your relationships. And this is also the optimal time, you guys, to reconnect with your roots, with your ancestry, or childhood memories. Now, there are some things I want you to watch out for, okay? So I want you to watch out for being a little bit overly sensitive, okay? Or taking things too personally, especially in your relationships over the next few weeks. And watch out for mood driven decisions and love or money that really lack long term clarity. We also want to make sure that we're not holding on too tightly to the past and make sure that you're not avoiding conflict just to keep the peace because that can create a lot of emotional buildup and you don't want that during this time. So be aware of feeling insecure or needing constant reassurance in your relationships. This is going to be a beautiful time to focus on emotional healing, especially in how we give and receive love. So Venus in Cancer really invites us and reminds us that vulnerability can be a strength. Okay, vulnerability can be a strength, and that true connection really begins with creating a safe space for both ourselves and others. So I want you to ask yourselves over the next few weeks, what does emotional safety really look like for you? And how can you offer it to the people that you love? Now, for those of you who are parents, this time when Venus is moving into Cancer, the energy of love is going to be much more emotionally sensitive, nurturing, and protective. Okay. And it's really going to be important for those of you who are parents to pay attention to this. Okay. Because your children may become more emotionally expressive or clingy, or they just might need extra comfort or reassurance and connection during this time. So it's a great time to really slow down, to soften your tone, and to lean into emotional availability. Your child doesn't need for you to be the perfect parent. You just really need for you to be present, fully present with them. So prioritize emotional attunement, tune into your child's nonverbal cues during this time. So even small gestures like sitting together quietly or just listening to what they have to say can go a long way. And focus on creating a safe emotional environment. So, children might be more sensitive during this time. So, be really careful with the way that you speak to them. All right. They might take, if you're speaking to them with a harsh tone, they can take it really personally, or if they feel like you're being dismissive, they can take that very personally. So, instead, create a space for their feelings to be acknowledged and soothed. And it's a perfect time, it's the perfect time to embrace rituals of connection. All right. So reinforce a sense of belonging with family meals, with bedtime stories, and cuddles on the couch. And watch out for emotional projection. All right. If you find yourself more reactive, or easily triggered during this time, check in with your own emotional needs and see what is it that you need? What needs do you have that are not being met? Because Venus in Cancer can also stir up old wounds, especially around your childhood or unmet needs. And for parents, those of you who are parents of teenagers, don't be surprised if your teenager seems a little bit more moody or withdrawn. And instead of pushing them or forcing them to talk, just let them know that you're emotionally available. Now, on Thursday, July 31st, the sun will conjunct Mercury retrograde. Okay. And this is what's known as a cazimi. Okay, so cazimi means in the heart of the sun. So when we have a planet that's conjunct the sun, it's known as a cazimi, and there's a purification that takes place, so to speak. So I want you to think of this as a cosmic reset. It's a moment of clarity inside the usual fog of Mercury retrograde, because we're in Mercury retrograde right now. So it's an absolutely great time to instill new mental habits. This alignment marks the midpoint of Mercury retrograde, all right? And while Mercury is still moving backward from our perspective, the sun's light can bring insight, can bring revelation, and renewed awareness around issues dealing with communication, mindset, and decisions that have been delayed or a little bit clouded. So you may receive a message, an idea, or a realization that helps you to correct your course during this time. But remember, it's not the best time for action just yet, but it is a great time to listen, to reflect, and to receive insight before moving forward after Mercury goes direct. So I want you during this time to reflect on recurring communication themes from the past 2 weeks. What's been coming up for you? And revisit an old project, a plan, or a conversation with a new perspective. I also want you to pay attention to insights that come through synchronicities or quiet moments and to slow down and allow inner clarity to emerge. So avoid rushing into new agreements or contracts. Okay. Avoid making impulsive decisions based on sudden insight and avoid speaking too quickly because clarity comes from listening more than reacting. Also, don't overload your schedule during this time. Okay. It will be very easy to feel a little bit mentally overwhelmed with this aspect. Now, for parents during the Kazemi, Mercury's retrograde. So it's not the best time to push new strategies or new discipline methods. Okay. It's a great time to really pause, reflect, and listen more deeply than usual. So I want you to reflect on your communication habits with your child. Are you listening with presence whenever they speak to you? And do you truly feel heard by your child? Give your child space to express themselves freely, especially if they've been feeling misunderstood lately. It's also a great time to revisit unfinished conversations in a calm and curious tone more than a corrective one. And observe your child's patterns without judgment, especially if they're repeating behavior that may signal that something deeper is at play. Okay. So during this time, I don't want you to assume that your child should know better. All right. Remember, they're also feeling all of this energy. They may be feeling mentally foggy. They may be feeling emotionally misunderstood. So keep that in mind and don't overload their schedule. All right. This is the time to really keep everything light and flexible on this day and make sure you're paying attention to your intuition, especially your intuition around how your child is feeling and processing events during this time. On Friday, August 1st, we will have Venus squaring Saturn. So, Venus will be in the sign of Cancer, forming a square to Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So, Venus, the planet of love, pleasure, beauty, connection, in a tense aspect to the planet of boundaries, responsibility, and restriction, which is Saturn, we could end up feeling emotionally blocked. We could feel unseen. We could feel doubtful of our self worth, especially when it comes to our close relationships. So, this is not the warm, fuzzy Venus energy that we typically think of with this transit. Okay. This transit really invites us to get real about our emotional needs and our relational expectations and the places where our fear or past wounds are still shaping how we give and receive love. So, the energy of this transit, might leave you feeling emotionally distant. You might feel rejected in your close relationships. You might be doubting whether you are enough or whether you're doing enough or whether you are lovable. There could also be a heightened awareness of responsibilities and duties that you have within your relationships. There might also be financial pressures, especially around spending or emotional spending. You might find yourself really wanting closeness, really wanting connection, but feeling blocked somehow. So, the gift of this transit really invites us to ask, which of my relationships are built to last? And where do I need stronger boundaries or softer ones in my relationships? So here's what you do. This is what I want you to do. I want you to reflect on your relationship patterns, especially where you may be holding back emotionally. And be patient with yourself or others if your emotions feel a little bit colder or distant, or if others seem to be coming across you as if they are a little bit colder or more withdrawn or more distant than they typically are. And take responsibility for your part, for your role in your relationships with compassion. Okay. No, we don't really want to blame ourselves. This is not about, um, running ourselves through the ringer. We're really wanting to be compassionate observation instead of judgmental blame. And it's a great time to revisit long term financial or relational goals and make rounded adjustments. So during this time, I really want you to try hard. Okay. Try hard, um, not to withhold love or affection from others out of a sense of maybe fear of vulnerability or out of a sense of wanting to hurt or punish someone. Okay. So we want to avoid that. It's not what we want to do. Also, don't make Let me start over. Also, avoid making major relationship or financial decisions impulsively. And we also want to make sure that we are not shutting down emotionally. This is a great time to stay open, even gently. Okay, so Venus square Saturn might feel a little difficult, but that same day, Friday, August the 1st, guess what? We've got another aspect, another transit with Venus, I should say. Venus will be aspecting, squaring Neptune. So we're getting different types of energy within the same 24-hour period. So with this one, Venus in Cancer squaring Neptune in Pisces. So this can be a romantic yet really confusing transit when it comes to astrology because Venus wants to love and be loved. Uh, but Neptune may cast a hazy glow over reality and blur the lines between fantasy and truth. What's real and what's not real? So, under this transit, our emotions can run deep, but so can disillusionment. I want you to remember that. We may long for this sense of idealized love, for spiritual connection, or emotional escape. But there's also the risk of misunderstandings, of misplaced trust, or disappointment. So it's a beautiful day for music, for creativity and compassion, but it's not the best time to make big decisions about relationships or money because you might be feeling during this day confusion in your relationships. Well, what's real and what was I just hoping for? You might be noticing idealism or illusions about love, beauty, or connection. You might be feeling a desire to escape reality or avoid emotional discomfort. You might also, on the positive side, be sensing heightened creativity or stronger spiritual sensitivity, which is a great thing. So, what I want you to do, I want you to channel your emotions on this day into art, into music, into poetry, spiritual practice, and practice compassion and forgiveness, especially toward yourself. Enjoy romance, beauty, but keep your expectations grounded in reality. And you can offer gentle support to your loved ones, but I want you to hold on to the healthy boundaries. Avoid making major financial or romantic decisions today and avoid ignoring red flags or over idealizing someone or a situation and seeing only what you want to see. So, also be careful about believing every single thing that you hear because clarity is fogged under this influence. Now, for parents during this transit for your children, I want you to lead with a clear sense of emotional softness because your children may be feeling especially tender, sensitive. Okay. So let's respond with kindness, even if, your child is feeling or seeming a little spaced out, or very, very emotional. And offer reassurance if you need to, because children might be more prone to misinterpreting your tone of voice or if there's conflict. They're very sensitive to that. So keep communication warm and clear. Also, encourage creative expression. It's a wonderful day for music, for painting, for them to tell stories, use their imagination, let them express what's been very hard for them to say. And watch out for escapist behavior, especially with teens. They may want to withdraw into their screens, fantasy, or isolation. So it's a beautiful day to nurture connection through presence, not perfection, and meet your child where they are with soft eyes, with open arms, and grounded love. They may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. All right, so those are the transits for this week. Now it's time for our caller, and we do have Kelly from Florida. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, how are you?
Fine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I'm really
Good,
excited for my
Kelly.
reading.
Awesome. So, are you ready to see what the month of August is going to hold for you?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle the cards and let's see what's in store for Kelly for the month of August. Let's see. What do we have for Kelly? Oh, all right, Kelly, and I just want you to tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay, let's see what we've got. Hey, all right. So, Kelly, we're looking at what's going on right now. We do have the Nine of Cups. That's one of my favorite cards in the tarot deck because it's like, that's the card that's like wishes granted, or I'm really feeling a deep sense of fulfillment in most of the areas in my life. So, do you understand that for right now, that that may be what you're feeling or experiencing in your life?
Yes.
Okay. We've got the challenge card of the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles is all about the potential for a new opportunity, could be a new job, a new way of making money. There's something about a change that could be making you feel a little bit destabilized or questioning whether or not you want to make the change. Maybe you're like, well, I don't want to upset the balance that I have right now. So I'm afraid to make this change. Would that make sense for you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, okay. And so what I want you to know, the first 2 weeks of August, it looks like we've got here, um, things are going to happen quickly. So if there's change that's coming, it looks like there's change that's coming. There's something new that's coming, and it's going to happen rather quickly over the first 2 weeks of August. It's like, wow, where did all this come from? It happened all of a sudden. Okay. But I
Mhm.
do want you to
Okay.
know by the end of the month, though, it does look like you've settled into a good sense of your personal power, feeling intuitively connected, feeling emotionally connected, feeling emotionally safe and secure. Okay. Does this make sense so
Okay.
far?
Okay, great. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the power, your personal power that you have right now, we do have the Empress card, which is this is the card of nurturing, of femininity, also of finances as well, and just really strong emotional connection. So it seems as if right now that's where your sense of power is coming from. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Um, Is it you or someone else that's thinking about either? I've got the Hierophant here, and usually when that comes up, someone might be thinking about going back to school or starting a new course or teaching. There's something here about either teaching, learning. Would that make sense?
Yes. I don't know about teaching, but definitely learning. I just got a life coach and stuff, and I'm like doing a lot of shadow work with myself and like learning about
Wonderful.
me. And it could be teaching. I'm kind of trying to mentor some women, but that kind of has a hiccup in it right now. So I was seeing if that might work out in the long run.
Okay. Well, the outcome card, it's funny you mentioned that. The outcome card for your spread, we do have the 3 of Pentacles. That's the card of teamwork, like of working together with others in a group. And that's the outcome that I've got
Hmm.
here for the month of August. So that's a definite yes. It looks like that
Oh, perfect.
will be working out for you. The hiccups that you talk about, all right? In the answer card position, we do have the Six of Swords. That's the card of things may have been a little bit rough or choppy or unsettled in one area of my life, but I'm moving into calmer
Yes.
and smoother waters. Okay. All right. So that's
Okay.
the answer card. If that was your main question, that's funny because that came up in the answer position of Yeah, moving past the difficulties, moving past the challenges into calmer, smoother waters. Um, and I love the fact that you
Okay.
talked about life coaching for women. Remember, I mentioned that your personal power
Mhm.
card was the Empress, the card of femininity. Okay, we've got Venus here of
Yes.
women. So I just intuitively, as I'm feeling into this, I do feel that Mercury retrograde ends around August the 11th. So right now is the perfect time for you to be reviewing and going over, okay, so once this takes off, because you know this is going to take off, this is going to work out for you. But once it takes off,
Okay.
what needs to be in place? That's what I want you to be doing right now. I want you to be using the energy of Mercury retrograde to go back and review and say, okay, I need to make sure this is done, this is done, this is in place, everything's set. Because after Mercury goes direct,
Mhm.
my feeling is that everything is going to kind of fall in place for you.
Okay, great.
Okay. And then once it happens, remember, one of the cards that I told you about earlier, things are going to happen very, very quickly for you. So, this
Uh-huh.
lull that you're experiencing, this break in activity where it seems like everything's just kind of like slowed down or I've hit a snag here, it's actually
Mhm.
working to your benefit.
Okay,
Okay. Does
great.
that make sense for you? Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yes, it does.
Definitely. And I really applaud you. Life coaching, working with other women, trying to be someone who's making a difference. I love that, Kelly. I love that, and I think it's such a positive
Thank
thing
you.
that you're doing, and I wish you so much luck with that, and, thank you so much for calling in today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You've given me like I feel more calm and at peace now. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks again, Kelly, and you have a good week.
You too. Bye.
And that wraps up our show for today, and like I like to remind you every single week, the stars may guide us, but we ultimately hold the power to shape our destiny. So keep shining your light bright. Set your intention to have an amazing week, to live at your highest potential. And I'll see you back here again next week.